Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be vlogging a very special visit to Moorland and the Bobcats for a lesson. It will be a jumping lesson, I'm pretty sure, because I'm just exploring my options right now, and the more doors that I can open, the better. So I decided, why not? I am so sorry that I haven't been able to post in a while. It's just that school has drained so much of my time, and I've barely even been able to ride on my own. Thankfully though, I'm out of school now and it's summer again, so I would love to share more of my experiences. So it's about 10 a.m. in the morning right now. I literally just woke up. I know I woke up really late. It's okay. I dressed up kind of casually with the Miscreants merch because I absolutely adore their music, and we just won't talk about my messy hair. The plans for this morning is that we're basically going to be riding down to the ranch, and I will be bringing my baby Nado for the lesson. It's already been arranged and everything, and I'm so excited. So let's get started with the day. First, I went outside to greet Grandma, who, if you didn't know, has been taking care of me, and she, as expected, reminded me that I had to come back before supper. It was a beautiful day outside. The birds were chirping, the sun was out, and it wasn't too hot as there was a slight breeze, the perfect amount in my opinion, and I was just so pumped for the day's events. We live near the back of Firgrove, which I actually prefer because it's a bit peaceful. Not to say that Firgrove itself isn't peaceful, but I then walked towards the Fern cafe, which was part of my morning routine and where I often had breakfast or lunch. They have the most delicious green tea and cinnamon roll in the world, and it's usually pretty calm. So I went for my regular seat near the entrance and I waited for a server to arrive. The girl who came was called Mary, and she was super sweet. We were kind of familiar since I came here often, and when I asked for my regular order, she knew exactly what to get me. You know that your girl had to get a cup of green tea and a small cinnamon roll. I ate both quite quickly, and after I finished, feeling pretty full, I walked to the area in front of Firgrove stables, and I sat on a nearby bench where a worker at Starshine Ranch, who was Uncle John's friend, had promised to pick me up. Once I got there, I immediately went to say hi to Uncle John and letting him know that I was about to take Nado out. Then I went around to see Brownie, who I found right around his doghouse. Sadly, I didn't have time to play fetch with him, so I just filled his dog bowl and rubbed his little belly. Then I grabbed a halter that was hanging around the wall and made my way towards the pastures. I found Nado in his usual paddock, grazing by the hay and water, and I gave him a hug and a nice head pat. I missed him so much, and I was glad to see that he was kept healthy and happy. After that, I put the halter on him and I led him out of the paddock and into the stable. The stables were pretty empty for a Saturday, so I led Nado to the wash stall, secured him to the cross ties, fed him a quick chunk of hay, gave him some water, and then began to clean him. Although I'm pretty sure that he was being taken care of very well, he looked like he hadn't been properly washed in a while. So you could practically see the dust coming off of his coat, and I kid you not when I say that the soap literally turned a light shade of brown. His mane was so tangled, I spent a good 10 minutes just combing through it. It's not even funny. Then I went to go grab Nado's tack from the tack room. I don't own any of it, but my parents recently did promise that I could purchase a horse soon because I just graduated high school and I have some free time on my hands. I'm not really sure if Nado's for sale or anything, although it would be epic to own my favorite horse. Then I just tacked him up and remembered that I forgot to pick his hooves, so I did. After that disaster, I went to the storage room, and first of all, I put my hair back in a slick ponytail. Then I put on my gloves, a white polo, riding pants, then boots, and my helmet and sunglasses. These are all my mother's hand-me-downs from when she used to ride as a teenager, but I hope that I'll be able to get my own soon. Once I was ready, I went back to Nado. I took him out of his cross ties, replaced his halter with his bridle, and led him out of the stable. I forgot that I had my camera literally right on the handle of the door, so I walked right into it. Lovely. Moreland's pride decorations were wonderful. I was supposed to go to the infamous leader of the Bobcats for my lesson today, who wasn't really hard to spot. I mounted Nano and spoke to her. She was okay for the most part. She just asked lots of questions, and I was like, smile and nod, Eva, just smile and nod. Anyways, after a bit of friendly conversation, she had us warm up by going around the arena. I'm using my GoPro footage for a few clips. Loretta basically said that today, yep, we would be jumping. Not like Olympic level or anything, but simple jumping skills and such. See, I'm still kind of experimenting with what discipline I was interested in, and show jumping has been appealing, so when my grandma told me about this opportunity to learn from the quote-unquote best of the best, I could not pass it up. We basically just rode around the arena for a bit, switching gates once in a while, switching directions, circling, and Loretta had me canter for a long period of time. I haven't cantered too much on Nado, but I found his seat really comfortable to sit. She was testing my ability and seeing what I could do so far, giving me a little advice along the way, like a little more bend, leg. I didn't really know what that meant, so she explained that she wanted me to use more leg pressure on the horse's side for it to be more constant and effective. She continued giving us little tips here and there, like, steady with that outside rein. Are you on the right diagonal? Those tips helped a lot, and I forgot how much I really missed riding on Nado. Then she called us outside of the arena, and she asked if we were prepared to start with the basics and run the beginner course. I asked what that was and if it was okay that me and Nado, well, me mostly, had no experience. So as she explained what we were gonna do, she had her little Bobcat girls run around the arena setting things up. She said that we were going to start with trot poles because it's very effective at helping horses with how to deal with obstacles on the ground, as well as teaching them to adjust to their stride. All the poles in the arena were pink, and there are some little pylons. Absolutely adorable setup. I wasn't really sure if Nado had experience jumping, but I've heard that English thoroughbreds are a good jumping breed, so we just went for it. Nado was very good and barely stumbled over the poles. I think that he hit one or two by accident with his hooves, but in general, he was very obedient and we had no problems. Loretta also had me practice my 2-point position, which is apparently the jumping position of a rider. We did that while we went over the poles. She said that my weight should not fall into my seat when I jump, which will allow the horse the full mobility he needs to clear the obstacles. There were lots of things to remember, like having to keep my eye up, hands giving towards the horse's mouth in order to release any pressure of the reins, hips bending to lower my chest, my leg remaining still and staying at the girth, but I think I managed it alright. We did a fun quick exercise where I was told to get up in my half seat while trotting and cantering and hold the position for a lap, then sit back down into a full seat, except I keep the same heel depth as I had in the half seat. She said that it would help immensely because I'd be able to change from half to full seat with ease. About 30 minutes later, Loretta decided that we were ready for cross rails. And these are the small jumps usually used for training new horses because the shape of the X apparently makes an inviting shape to go over for your horse. She said that if Nado had never jumped before, chances are that he'll just either run through the jump, kick down the poles, or try to stop, which is why it's important to keep on the horse and not let them lose the momentum. This took 10-20 minutes to set up, I'm not sure, but we basically just sat outside of the arena and waited for her Bobcat servants to do their work. Again, she keeps giving advice like shoulders back, keep your focus, and trust your horse. She seemed pretty impressed with us, and not gonna lie, I was too. We were doing really well for beginners. Well, except for that one jump where Nado just stopped, which I didn't understand because he literally just finished the previous jump, which was identical to that jump, so maybe he just wasn't used to jumping two of the same in a row. The rest of the jumps and some pulls though we had no issues with. It wasn't too difficult maintaining a 2-point over these small jumps either. The double pulls or whatever they're called were a bit more challenging, but we still overcame them. Last but not least, the Bobcats set up the big boy jumps, and these things were absolutely massive. They took a whole 20 to 30 minutes just to set up, and that was enough time for me to buy Nado a few apples from a nearby store. Obviously, us noobs were not allowed to jump these, but Loretta said that we could have a look at them just to simply bless our eyes. Then she boasted about how she jumped these at every single practice. They're just so big, my mind cannot comprehend even just jumping them. Loretta said that we could try jumping this one, it resembled a cross rail, and the reason that we were allowed to do this one and not the rest is because it's tiny in comparison to the others, and Nado should be used to it by now because we've already done practices with the cross rails, the small ones, and therefore it shouldn't be too challenging. So we did this a couple of times, and I was very proud of what we were able to accomplish. She constantly reminded me that my weight should be in my heels to help me balance over the horse's back, and the 2-point position, I was able to understand the reasoning behind that more and more. She kept saying heels down, one more time. So we did that a total of 3-4 times, I'm not sure, and I don't know if Nado was tired, but I sure wasn't. And just like that, we were finished. It was a wonderful first day of jumping. Loretta was proud that I learned and fixed my mistakes so quickly. She even handed me my very own Bobcat jacket, which I will now cherish until the day I die. She even said, and I quote, "You have some skill, Eva. I'll admit. Maybe not as much as me, but if you keep working, you might one day have the potential to join the Bobcats." My heart! I thanked her and she gave me a smile, or more like a smirk, before she waved and went to talk with her fellow Bobcats. I took Nado for a walk around the arena as a cool down after a whole morning of intense activity and gave him a few pats on the neck. He had been such a good boy and was definitely receiving a few rewards when we got home. After that lap around the arena, we walked a little bit more around the path of Moorland Stables, admiring the scenery as we waited for the trailer to pick us up. It was almost 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and it was a good day. It had been a good day. The Firgrove looks a lot like Moorland, except more of a dark green. As soon as we arrived back at the ranch, I led Nado into his stall and began to take off his tack. I gave him some water, groomed him, and this time I remembered to pick his hooves. I grabbed a few sugar cubes from the feed room, which are his absolute favorite, and as soon as he smelt it in my hand, he followed me out of the stable with no hesitation. I began to lead him all the way to his paddock in the back. I gave him a head rub, took off his halter, gave him his sugar cubes, and then I realized that the hay supply was near empty, so I grabbed some more and filled it up for them. I earned a few grunts of thanks from the horses, and then I gave Nado one last head pat, and I was gone. I had so much fun today. Loretta was a great trainer and I was able to learn so many new things about jumping. It was a great experience overall and I'm definitely more interested in this discipline now, so I'll probably see what I can do along with possibly purchasing a new horse. Anyways, I was getting pretty tired at that point and planned on getting some rest, so I headed home and yeah, that's all I got of today's events. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed and don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye!
Do it, baby, simple and plain.